Des, if I come to you, financial services and insurance is obviously highly regulated. There's a lot of risk management that needs to take place. But what are you seeing as maybe some of the new trends emerging, particularly around data modernization and new platforms to allow for the digital transformation move?
Thank you, Patrick. I think the context is a very good one, because in reflecting on Jana's demands for her data modernization objectives at Generali, clearly her needs are unique, but I think as I reflect on the broader needs of perhaps the industry more generally, and in fact commercial enterprise more generally, at some level, I think these needs and demands and requirements would resonate with anybody who's on this call, whether or not they're participating in the insurance business. So I think we've got three, I guess, buckets of factors that contribute to a general trend, which is the first bucket's customer demands. People are getting more demanding. I'll come on to that in a little more detail in a moment. We also have internal objectives, and I'm sure Jana's are no different to most others in Jana's position, delivering cost effectively, having a robust technology service, being always on, fast response times, instant recovery from disaster. I mean, these are pretty standard requirements. And the third bucket is the technology landscape, which I think has changed quite dramatically, especially over the last, let's say, decade, which enables an organization like FinCons to put different technologies together to think about delivering to those demands, perhaps in a different way from the way that has been done previously. And if I think about customer demands particularly, those who work in insurance will know that there are few more demanding customers than underwriters. And certainly that was a big driver at Generali, getting better insights, faster insights, more broad brush insights into the underwriting portfolio to drive performance. And that's not the only driver. I mean, internal demands come from actuarial finance, as they do in any other insurer, and also from external requirements like regulators. So all of that is in the bucket of customer demands. And as I think about the way things used to be done, and I don't mean at Generali, I mean generally, my experience is that we thought in a very structured way. And those structured ways of thinking present numerous challenges to dealing with the demands of running a business in the modern world. I noticed, sadly, the US Defense Secretary, Donald Rumsfeld, passed away last month. In fact, I think it was last week. He introduced us to some unique phrases, the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. And I think this is a great way to think about the way we've used technology in the past, and thinking about the old world where we structured data in a way that we knew what we needed to know, therefore the known knowns. And a management information report would come out daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, annually. It would say the same thing, or at least be based on the same data. And then there was generally an opportunity to look deeper into the management information, to look for the drivers of performance, whether good or bad, which we might loosely call analytics. It may have been done on a spreadsheet or a pivot table or something. And we could say that was a way to get to the known unknowns. That is to say, the things we knew, but we didn't know we needed to know them in the management information. So I think if we think about the world today, we're no longer dealing with known knowns and known unknowns. We also have a lot of Donald Rumsfeld's unknown unknowns. That is to say, the things we didn't know we needed to know. And that presents huge difficulties, particularly if we wish to use those unknown unknowns data sources to analyze and structure our business response. So I think in the new world, we have numerous challenges, which are typically numerous source systems from which structured data can be derived. Some will be old, some will be new, some will predate the organization by way of merger or acquisition, and some will have been designed internally. But essentially, that data source or those data sources are a huge treasure trove if only the data can be homogenized and leveraged in order to deliver business insight. That is a huge challenge in the traditional world of structured databases and on-premise delivery. The data structures may be different, the definitions may be different. We also then have a completely new thing, which is big data and unstructured data. So when we think about using artificial intelligence, for example, to draw data out of a document, we then have unstructured data. There isn't a basis on which we can use that data unless in the old world we could find a place to store it and to structure it in a way that we know we need to know. And as with big data, the data sources may be in any shape or form very different to the data that we use internally. So I think all of that drove a need to think very differently about structuring the technology that delivers to the needs, not just of Generali today, but of Generali for possibly the next 10 years, 15 years. So this was quite a significant investment and drove the thinking at FinCons in terms of the technologies that we put together in order to give access to as many data fields, not data sources, but as many data fields as Generali could ever imagine needing in a flexible, cost-effective, robust way with all the security that comes with it. And in fact, as we've ended up, without the hassle of managing it on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not going to go into the technology because that is the role of my technology colleagues at FinCons. And I think it's time for me to pass back to Giuliano to elaborate on some of the ways in which we address these issues.